Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and if you're watching this on the day it goes live, it is my birthday. For my birthday, I tend to want to give back to the community, so I asked some other booktubers to give me a good book recommendation, as well as to recommend another booktuber that they are really digging these days. So I'm going to let them speak for themselves, but all of their links are down below, all of the links to the people they recommend are down below, and all the books they recommend are down below. Be sure to check out all of their channels after you watch this video, obviously, and if you have any recommendations for me, be it a booktuber or a book, please let me know, because I think we all know by now that I absolutely love getting recommendations, and then if it's something I've already read, we can talk about it in the comments. I've gone on long enough, let's switch it over to the other booktubers for this video.
Hi guys, my name is Steph and I talk about books over on my channel Novelty Corner. I'm really excited that Kathy asked me to participate in her birthday recommendations video, so happy birthday Kathy. I hope that you have an amazing birthday month and birthday. So I was asked to choose a book recommendation and a booktuber recommendation. So hopefully some of these will be new to you guys. I've decided to go with Every Breath by Ellie Marney, which is a young adult contemporary mystery book set in Australia, written by an Australian author. So this falls under the Love Us YA bracket. It is a Sherlock Holmes retelling, and it is the first book in a trilogy. The trilogy is complete. There is one spin-off book, and that is also fabulous. In Every Breath, we follow Rachel Watts, who moves from a small country town to Melbourne, which is my home city, which is why I'm quite partial to this book. She meets her neighbour, James Mycroft, and he's sort of this intriguing 17-year-old boy who's a bit of a genius and loves forensic science and forensic investigation. And eventually he draws a very reluctant Rachel into a murder investigation, and the story sort of plays out from there. What I love about this is it takes place in various Melbourne locations. The characters are very charismatic, very easy to love and want to find out what's going to happen next with, but the characters always feel like teens, and they still have things that they're dealing with that are regular teen issues. So this one is a book that I desperately need to go back and reread, but it is a YA book that I highly recommend. My booktuber recommendation is Leanne from Literary Diversions, who is an absolutely delightful human being who I love to watch anytime she posts a video. She talks a lot about crime and thriller books. She has awesome Stack It TBR videos. She runs a small Etsy business called Novel Menagerie. She has a podcast called Death by the Books. And honestly, I don't know how she does it all, but she has this wonderful sense of humor. She is very honest and very to the point, and it just makes my day to see her videos. So I hope you get a chance to check out her channel if you have not already. Thank you again, Kathy, and I hope that you have an amazing birthday.
Happy birthday, Kathy! This is Cheyenne from Novel Insights, and I am here to recommend for your birthday The Space Between the Stars by Iain Corlett. So this is one of my favorite books. It's a post-apocalyptic science fiction about a veterinarian who wakes up after the majority of the human population has died off due to the spread of a horrible disease. She is one of the few people that survived on the planet that she lives on. At this point, Earth and I believe 2 other planets have been populated by humans, and she wants to get back to Earth, both because this is where she thinks the majority of the survivors will be, but also because her family lives there, as well as her ex, whom she suddenly has a burning desire to see again. I really loved this book, not just because it is very well written, but also because it was definitely highly reminiscent of the TV show Firefly, which I'm a huge fan of, so any Firefly fans should in particular check this out. But I recommend it in general. I thought it was really cool, and I think that you will enjoy it as well. You also asked us to recommend a booktuber that we've been enjoying recently, and my recommendation for you is Marie McWilliams. She's a newish booktuber, and she talks a lot about horror, which is something that I don't really see represented as much in the booktube community, and she also has a really cool goth aesthetic that I personally appreciate a lot. So I definitely think that you should check her out if that sounds up your alley. I hope you have a great birthday, and I'm sure I'll hear from you soon. Bye!
Hey everybody, my name is Anna Goldberg, and I am here to wish a very happy birthday to Kathy, who asked me to give a book recommendation and a booktuber recommendation for her birthday. So my book recommendation is one of the top books that I read last year, and it is Out of Salem by Hal Schrieve. This is an LGBTQ sort of urban fantasy novel by a non-binary author that takes place in the town of Salem, Oregon, and it follows Z, who is a young genderqueer teenager that dies in a car accident and wakes up the next day as a zombie. And as they are kind of adjusting to their new body and what it's like to just be like a Walking Dead kind of figure, they befriend Isel, who is another sort of loner outcast type kid who is secretly a werewolf. And this is an amazing story about the importance of like minorities, especially like gender and sexual minorities, being able to bond together and create really good communities and local communities to fight prejudice. This is a really amazing book, and I would highly recommend it if you are into any of the things mentioned herein. And a booktuber that I would like to recommend is Brody from A2 Brody. I think that Brody actually pairs quite well with this book because they also like the sort of weird cryptid genre type stuff. They are also a non-binary booktuber like myself, and I just like to share that, you know, kind of love out there. So thank you for watching this, and happy birthday, Kathy!
Hi everyone, and happy birthday, Kathy! Thank you so much for inviting me to recommend a book and a booktuber in honour of your birthday. And the book I'm going to recommend is Circe by Madeline Miller. I know, I'm basic. Okay, hear me out though. If you have not yet read this book, how? Like, has someone not forced you to already? Because it is so highly praised for a reason. I adored this story. It follows a goddess slash witch from Greek mythology called Circe when she is exiled from the realm where the gods exist onto an island by herself, and then encounters an array of different characters from Greek mythology as they come to visit her when she manages to stray from her isolation. And through that, her story brings together so much of Greek mythology in one place, and accurately. So ancient history is my jam, and I can tell you that most of the major events in this are entirely rooted in the original ancient myths. Madeline Miller is a classicist herself. She knows her stuff. But in saying that, you certainly don't need to be already familiar with Greek mythology in any depth to read and love this book. It's the story of one woman, her growth over thousands of years, her experience of isolation, her relationships with different people, and it's just absolutely wonderful. She is, in a way, the most human of all the gods and goddesses, and Madeline Miller just brought her story to life in this book. But for a booktuber, I wanted to recommend a recent discovery of mine called Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe. My friend Lauren actually recommended her channel to me, and that just shows how much Lauren knows me, because Olivia's videos are brilliant. She reads widely, including fantasy, romance, contemporary. There's something there for everybody. But most importantly, she just seems like a genuinely lovely person and creates engaging, interesting content. I'm the kind of person who will try any genre, so I just need to watch somebody that can convince me of how good a book is, regardless of what genre it falls into, and I'm willing to try it. And I feel like Olivia's that kind of person. I'm so pleased I found her channel, and I wanted to share her with you so that you can enjoy all of her wonderful content as well. But once again, happy birthday, Kathy. Thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this video, and I'll let you all get back to your reading.
Hi, I'm Merc, and my channel is Harpies in the Trees. I review horror books with a supernatural focus because that is what I love. First of all, happy birthday to Kathy, and thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this. I wanted to share one of my favorite books called The Diviners by Libba Bray. I love this story so much for so many reasons. One, it takes place in New York. It's in the 1920s, the roaring 20s. Flappers and jazz clubs, the Charleston, all of that good stuff. This book is written just so marvelously. It has the vernacular of the time period. It's very snappy. It's like a 1930s film. If you've ever seen His Girl Friday, with that kind of just dialogue that snaps right back, that is how this is written. So it takes place in New York City, and the premise is that there is something that's kind of unleashed itself on Manhattan, and there are these group of friends who all seem to have different abilities, different type of sensitivities, and are finding each other and have been placed into a situation where only they can try and figure out and stop what's happening. And it's really cool. It's really cool from a historical standpoint if you are New York centric. I like this too because the characters are diverse in ethnicity and also in cultural backgrounds. The characters are very interesting and cool. In the beginning, I didn't like some characters, but by the end of the book, I really liked those characters. They do change in the book in a way that is really lifelike, and cool. There's a lot of relationships that are very interesting and fun, and it's eerie and it's creepy and a lot of fun. I just have to say that this book is just, it's so fun. And it's a series, and I need to get the rest of the series, so they haven't done that yet. But this book is amazing. I really enjoyed it.
Hey everyone, I'm Eric from Breakeven Books, and today I'm taking part in Kathy's video. She is recommending other booktubers and also recommending or asking other booktubers to recommend some underrated books that they think need more attention. So I decided to choose I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid. I actually won this book in a giveaway with Simon & Schuster when I was like starting my blog. And so I read this book on a plane ride because it's not very long, and it was fantastic. I didn't expect this book to be what it was. It was very mind-boggling, and I was so happy that I picked up this book because, first of all, like I didn't have really any expectations going into it, but it blew me away. It was honestly fantastic. So essentially this book is about a woman who is going with her boyfriend to meet his parents for the first time, but she is also thinking about ending their relationship. So it's very uncomfortable for her, and she doesn't know how to bring this up because she's about to meet his family. And I can't honestly tell you much more about it because the things that transpire in this book are crazy but awesome. I really think you should pick this up if you want a mind-bending book. I would classify it as like a psychological thriller. So if you like that genre, this book is definitely for you. And then a booktuber that I've recently been watching a lot lately and I would recommend to you guys is Brightness Katie Reads. I was actually her friend on Twitter because we started talking through the comments on my videos, and she was thinking about getting into BookTube but hadn't done it yet, and I was saying you should totally do it because the BookTube community is awesome. And she actually did. She made a channel. So I've been checking out some of her videos. She has great recommendations. I believe she's in the UK, and she's just all around a really nice person. So I think you guys should check out her channel, give her some support, and I know she would really appreciate that as well. Anyways, back over to you, Kathy. Thank you so much for including me in your video.
Hey y'all, my name is Samantha Leanne and my channel is called LandLit. I talk about horror and heavy contemporary, a little bit of fantasy, and more horror. So I'm here today to make some recommendations, and I am going to recommend Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. This is one of my favorite horror books that I have read recently. I feel like even a lot of non-horror fans have seen the Netflix series Haunting of Hill House and really enjoyed it. So even if you haven't read the book Haunting of Hill House, some people find that book a little bit dry. I consider it a horror classic. It's one of my favorites, but Kill Creek has very, very similar vibes to that. You have a group of different types of horror writers that are all invited to a house that is known to be haunted, and they're going to spend the night and they're going to do interviews and, you know, all of these things. While they're in the house, some not so savory things begin to occur, and it turns out even after they leave the house, they haven't really left the house. Excellent example of horror, but there's a lot of different themes that run underneath that horror as well. Very atmospheric. Really loved this book. So if you are looking to delve into horror, even if it's not something that you usually read a lot of and you like haunted house stories, I definitely recommend picking this up. The booktuber that I'm going to recommend to you is actually Cami from Cami's Corner. I had the pleasure of meeting her at BookNet Fest last year, and I was so happy to actually get to meet her. She makes amazing content, is also very horror heavy like myself, but she's just so articulate, and I really love her and her personality, and she puts a lot of effort into her content, so I definitely recommend checking her out. Thank you guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda, and if you don't know, my channel name is A Beautiful Bookworm. First things first, I want to wish Kathy a happy birthday. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I know things are a little weird right now, but I really hope that the next year of your life is just as amazing as you are, because you're an amazing human and I just adore you. So happy birthday. I hope it's a great one. So you guys, I'm tasked to tell you about one of my favorite novels. So I will tell you that I read a lot of mystery thriller and I read a lot of backlist. So this title is not going to be one that is very current, and I don't think it's as popular. So hopefully it's not. But the book I want to talk to you guys about is Where They Found Her by Kimberly McCreight. This is a mystery thriller, like I said. I will tell you trigger warnings for infertility, for miscarriage, and for infant death. So if those things are your triggers, I definitely don't recommend this. This follows our main character, Molly, who is a journalist in a small town. And one day a newborn body is found behind the college that her husband works at. And she's tasked to write the story, to follow the investigation. And as she is investigating the death of this newborn, and she's digging a little deeper, she's realizing there's a lot more than what meets the eye, and there's a lot more at stake here there's a lot more going on here than she originally had thought. So we get her perspective. We also get the perspective of the police chief's wife, and what they're dealing with all of this, and then we're also getting the perspective of a high school dropout named Sandy. They each have their own storylines, but as in most mystery thrillers, things kind of start to intertwine and things become kind of like murky and all kind of tangled up together, and then you get like the storyline. So I don't want to give you too much more on this, but I will tell you that it surprised me. I never saw a lot of things coming. I think the twists and turns in it were done very well. And yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite mystery thrillers. Kimberly McCreight is now one of my auto-buy authors. So if you are okay with those trigger warnings that I gave you just a minute ago, then I would highly, highly recommend this one. Along with my favorite book, I'm going to talk about one of my, a booktuber that I've been watching a lot of. A channel that I have been enjoying lately is We Be Bookin'. Her name is Jackie. She reads a lot of mystery thrillers and dark contemporaries, and so we kind of read the same genres, which I think is really cool. She's just very entertaining, very wholesome, and I just really, really enjoy her content. So I would highly recommend that you guys go and check her out, and you know, I hope you enjoy her too. So anyways, that's all I have for you. Bye!
Hi, my name's Rachel, and you can find me at my channel, Reads with Rachel. I just want to say a big happy birthday to Kathy, and thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this. I'm really excited. So the book that I want to recommend is East by Edith Pattou. So this is an older book. It actually came out in 2005, and it's a retelling of the Norwegian folktale East of the Sun and West of the Moon, which is kind of like a Beauty and the Beast type story. It's about a girl named Rose, and she's very adventurous, but her mother is very superstitious, and due to the circumstances around Rose's birth is always trying to keep Rose contained because she's worried something bad will happen to her. One day a giant white bear shows up at their house and says that if Rose comes to live with him, her family will prosper and their financial and health situations will be taken care of. Rose agrees to go with him, and then shenanigans ensue where there's a mystery and a big white bear and a troll queen and so much adventure and fun. I highly recommend this book. It's one of my all-time favorites. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, and it's such an adventure, and it's got to be my favorite Beauty and the Beast type retelling. A fellow booktuber that I would love to recommend that I love to watch their content is Ava from Books Ava After. She's actually an Icelandic booktuber, which I don't think there are many of, and I love her content. She's so funny and smart, and she's into science. She loves beer, and she recommends different Icelandic beers, and she loves to talk about fantasy, and her channel is great, and I highly recommend her. Thanks again, Kathy. Bye!
Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. My name is Sachar and I am from the channel Books on My Social Life. Thank you so much to Kathy for having me on your channel. Happy birthday, Queen. Your best pay respects to the Queen. It's her birthday. So anyways, the book that I'd like to quickly recommend to everybody is Light at the Bottom of the World by London Shah. This is a YA sci-fi novel that takes place in a futuristic London that is now underwater. Essentially, sea levels have risen in the world at this point in time, and basically everywhere on the planet is now submerged underwater. So humans are now forced to adapt to underwater life by building domes and like waterproofing their buildings and driving around in submarines, and it's not fun because, you know, that's a very traumatic thing that if it does happen to humanity, but it is a very beautiful thing to read about. I love the world building in here. I love the construction of this underwater London. The plot is kind of complicated, but essentially we're following our main protagonist Lila as she embarks on kind of a road trip, if you would call it that. It's in a submarine, so it's not really much of a road trip. We're following her on this journey, and you know why she's taking this journey when you get into the story. So it's a really interesting book. There's a lot of political intrigue in here. The story is very engaging and compelling. As I said, the world is really fantastic. I love the writing in here. I really like the main protagonist, and also there's like these killer mermaid people, like these humanoid mermaids that like want to kill humanity. So that's another really fun, like interesting dynamic going on in this book. What I liked about this book a lot though is that the main protagonist in here is Muslim, and although the story doesn't have anything to do with Islam or identity politics or anything like that, it was really cool to see a story written by a Muslim author, a sci-fi story, where the main protagonist is a practicing Muslim who talks about praying in the story, who says Bismillah and Inshallah, and does a bunch of other things that Muslims do. It's a really cool thing to see that in sci-fi, especially when this genre often assumes that people of faith would no longer exist in the future. At least sometimes it might come across like that. And that leads me to my booktuber recommendation. So the person who I'd like to recommend that you check out is the person who prompted me to read this book. Essentially, she started a year-long reading challenge called the Iqra Trials, where basically you read a book by a Muslim author every month that follows a particular challenge. She hosts a live show on her channel where she invites another Muslim booktuber or book reviewer to come talk to her about the book that they read that month that fit the particular challenge. So in January, I read this book to fit the challenge of reading a book by a Muslim author that is a sci-fi or fantasy book. And the booktuber who hosts this incredible challenge is the one and only Tahira from Sincerely Tahiri. Tahira has a wonderful, wonderful channel. She's incredibly insightful and creative. I love that she's doing the Iqra Trials, and she's just an overall fantastic human being. You definitely want to go subscribe to her channel and support her, and check out her reading vlogs. She does reading vlogs every week and they're always very eventful. I enjoy watching them. So please go over and subscribe to Tahira and get yourself a copy of Light at the Bottom of the World and read it because it's great.
Happy birthday, Kathy. It's Amara of Amara in Seattle. I think it's so cool that one of the things you like to do with your birthdays is share it forward with the BookTube community, which I am thrilled to sort of think of myself as like a pseudo proxy member of, as I love bookish things and occasionally get to do adventures in bookish directions. But today you have asked for recommendations and other recommendations. So here are some recommendations. It's called Talking to Girls About Duran Duran. This is a book by Rob Sheffield, who writes for Rolling Stone and a variety of other music-y related things. A lot of his books kind of quest into music spaces. He wrote one about David Bowie, one about mixtapes. As this one says, one young man's quest for true love and a cooler haircut. I find his books refreshing and really honest. A whole lot of like mixtape pieces in here. Things like, you know, talk about Duran Duran. That's what you need, right? In 2020? More Duran Duran. Rob is also a journalist and he's just a very, very talented writer. So if you like reading that can help you improve as a writer, which is something else I'm always interested in, I really enjoy his work. From a very different direction in life that I don't know if this falls under what you were looking for. 3 of my favorite books. These are the Wayside School series books. Sideways Stories from Wayside School is Falling Down, and Wayside School Gets a Little Stranger. I am told by the cover that it glows in the dark. The school was supposed to be built as a 1-story building with 20 classrooms in a row, but it was flipped on its side and it was built in a vertical. Everything's a little mixed up as a result of it. All of the stories in the first book really kind of go over the main characters. So they're literally named things like Joe, Sherry, Todd, BB, Calvin. Chapter 20 has a character named Kathy. Find that suspect. If you had to pick like 1 or 2 stories, there's one about a girl named Maricia. I think that one's in the first book. There's a story that I love called Voilouche that I think about all the time, even now. Yeah, it's chapter 28 in Wayside School is Falling Down. Another one of Kathy's requests was a recommendation for a booktuber, and I found an Instagram post about Seattle from a booktuber named Boo 2 like the number books. A small booktube channel, but a wonderful booktube channel. She's really fun. She has a really unique style. She publishes about every 2 weeks or so. She likes to do unboxings and reviews. She does monthly reading lists and just in general brings some real fun and spirited energy to the bookish community. As a cat,
that, like Mika, consumes bits of paper. Highly recommend Buddha Books. It's fun, and she's got a small channel that she's growing, so she's probably interested in looking for people to collab with and things like that, which is, I think, a great present for us to bring to the YouTube community. I hope that you have a wonderful birthday, Kathy, and that all of your bookish dreams may come true. You want to say hello to Kathy? Look, right there. There you go. And all of Kathy's Rockstars, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do so. Kathy will bring the bookish, entertainment-related delight all up into your life on the reg. She does for me and for Mika. Do you want me to read this one? How about this one? No? How about this one? This one good?
Hey y'all, it's Brody, and today I'm here to recommend to you Foul is Fair by Hannah Cavan. This is a Macbeth retelling with traces of Heather's and Jennifer's body. It follows our protagonist named Jade, who is sexually assaulted at a party. She is drugged and raped. And she and her friends decide that they are going to take revenge on everyone involved in her assault, and they are going to kill everyone. They're going to get revenge and make them turn on each other. It has a dark academia setting, a diverse cast of characters, a protagonist who knows what she wants and knows how to get it and is going to take back control of her life. And a recommendation for a booktuber that I've been enjoying lately is going to be Fudwa from Word Wonders. Fudwa is an international book blogger and booktuber. I especially love the series that she does on her blog called Color the Shelves, where she highlights authors of color with debuts coming out in 2020. She also does lots of recommendation videos and readathon videos, and her makeup is always on point. She's my wife. I hope you go subscribe to her and enjoy her content as much as I do. Happy birthday, Kathy!
Hey everyone! First of all, Kathy, happy birthday, and thank you for being a booktuber who has always been really welcoming, somebody who reads. I don't know how you do it, but I am amazed at the fact that you read so much, and you are definitely a community builder, and it's been awesome to be able to engage with you at BookNet Fest, and thank you for inspiring me to do really cool things like create tags and stuff. So I hope you have a wonderful birthday and that social distance isn't getting you down. So happy birthday, and thank you for inviting me to participate in this video. So you have asked me to do two things. You've asked me to tell folks about a book that they might not be aware of that I really love, and to shout out a booktuber that I'm really grooving on these days. So for my book, I am going to talk about my favorite book written by Nalo Hopkinson, who's my favorite author, and it is called The New Moon's Arms. And Nalo Hopkinson is a Caribbean, I claim her as Canadian because she lived in Canada for, I think, most of her life. She now lives in California teaching creative writing, but she is a writer of fantasy and science fiction, and she really writes from a Caribbean perspective because she was born in Jamaica, and she has a lot of those cultural elements in everything that she writes. So The New Moon's Arms follows the protagonist called Calamity. Calamity is an older woman to some people. She is in her late 50s, and she is walking on the beach in the middle of the night one day, and she notices a little boy, and she takes him home because he has no family, and she tries to figure out how to return him to his family. And as she does that and spends more time with him, she realizes that there are things that are very mysterious about this boy. So as she learns more about this boy and understands what he is and where he came from, she learns more about herself and about her community, and she has to make a difficult decision. I love this book because it is so unapologetically Caribbean. I love the main character, Calamity, because she's funny and she's feisty, and she is a woman who is totally responsible for her own sexuality. She's got prejudices that she has to explore, and she's willing to do that. And I feel like she, as a character, felt really recognizable to me because she reminded me of, you know, the elders in my family. And to have an older Caribbean woman as the protagonist, like how many fantasy stories can you name where that is, that's the case? So The New Moon's Arms by Nalo Hopkinson, it is my favorite book by this author, and I definitely commend it to you. In terms of
a booktuber who I'm digging these days, I would say that the Artisan Geek has totally captured my imagination. She is such a brilliant content creator. She is imaginative and creative. She is really smart, really well read. She's just, what you see is what you get, just an honest, interesting person. And I mean, whenever I meet booktubers online who are really just passionate about sharing their love for books and who want to do it with integrity, my heart just swells. So I would say that if you haven't had an opportunity to visit the Artisan Geeks BookTube page, channel, that is it, then I would suggest that you go and check her out and you will not be disappointed. She's just a phenomenal person and a great content creator. All right, so that's it for me. Thanks very much for the invitation again, Kathy, and happy birthday to you, because you are fabulous. See ya.
Hey y'all, Mick here from Tome Infinity, and happy birthday, Kathy! I am here to be recommending one of my new favorite books. And that favorite book for me is Sal and Gabby Break the Universe by Carlos Hernandez. This is a middle grade science fiction that is absolutely fantabulous. It is so good and so well written and features Cuban family culture and a main character with type 1 diabetes, and just culture in general was so amazing, and his love for magic and unknown is so cool, and there's multiple universes, so can't beat that. So if you are even a little bit like me and you love science fiction and you love middle grade, then you should definitely check out this adorable book, Sal and Gabby Break the Universe.
Happy birthday, Kathy. It's Desiree from Libra Lavra here, and the book that I would like to recommend is One Day in December by Josie Silver. It is an adult contemporary romance told from two perspectives, and I would strongly suggest the audiobook because the actors really come to life. You get to hear their accents and you get to hear the British humor, which was kind of pulled out a little bit from the text in the States. So I would definitely recommend the audiobook, but it's about a girl who ends up getting on a bus and she sees someone outside of the bus and they kind of lock eyes and they fall in love in that moment, and he tries to get on the bus but he doesn't. The bus pulls away and she spends the next year searching for him. I don't want to give too much away, but I really feel like fans of the movie Serendipity and also the book that was referenced in Serendipity, which is Love in the Time of Cholera, if you liked either of those two things, I think you'll definitely love One Day in December. A booktuber I've been enjoying lately is Justin from Ghost Reader. He tends to read primarily nonfiction, also with an emphasis on history. His reviews are both informative and thorough, and they really get me interested in books and topics that I may not have come across otherwise. So if you haven't already, be sure to check him out.
And there we have it. Thank you to everyone who participated in this. I really enjoyed watching all of your videos, and I teared up a little bit a couple of times when I was watching them, so thank you so much for that. Have you read any of these books? And if so, tell me which one I should pick up down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you haven't read any of these books but just want to say hi, that would be nice too. You can also just leave an emoji or a smiley face if you're on your keyboard, if you're feeling a little bit shy right now. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye.